Hello and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren, and today I am looking at a video suggested by channel member Pterodactylus. So thank you again for all of your assistance over the years, Pterodactylus. It's been a pleasure. If you want to see your videos chosen and uploaded quickly, then you can follow in Pterodactylus's little footsteps and either become a channel member or just, be very kind with some super thankses every so often. We really, really do appreciate it. And like I said, I'm watching your video. I try to watch Pterodactylus's videos whenever they suggest some, and they have some very good suggestions. So today we're watching Big Agriculture banned these 15 medieval vegetables. They're 10 times stronger than GMOs. Don't really know what to expect, but I didn't realize that Big Agriculture banned any veggies. I'm curious to see what I'm missing out on. Let's begin. All right, starting
Big
out with some
Agriculture
cosplay. I
spent
love it.
millions lobbying to make these 15 vegetables illegal. Not because they're dangerous, but because they're too powerful. These medieval crops contain compounds so potent.
Well, I don't know about that one. Her looks a little very modern. Look at that blowout.
They make modern GMOs look like candy. But here's what they don't want you discovering about why they're still banned today. Ever wonder why your grandmother's salad had more kick than anything you can buy today? Well,
No.
let me tell you about purslane, the little green troublemaker that Big Agriculture wants you to forget exists.
It looks like a
This
pachyderm a
crunchy,
little
slightly salty plant was once the darling of medieval dinner tables. Farmers couldn't get enough of it. But here's the kicker. Today, most people spray it with herbicide and call it a weed.
Oh.
Talk about a fall from grace that would make a soap opera jealous. The numbers will blow your mind. Purslane packs more omega-3 fatty acids than most fish. Yeah, you heard that
Wow.
right. While everyone's popping expensive supplements,
Like
this
salmon?
weed is sitting in their backyard laughing at them. Then there's the
Dang.
vitamin E content. Spinach thinks it's tough. Purslane has more vitamin E than Popeye's favorite green. And beta-carotene, it makes carrots look like amateurs at their own game. Ancient Romans treated
Wow.
this plant like liquid gold. The Chinese have been using it for thousands of years as medicine. These weren't dumb people. They knew something we've conveniently forgotten. But here's what really gets me fired up. The antioxidant levels in purslane make most genetically modified vegetables look like they're not even trying. We're
Dang,
talking 10 times
purslane.
stronger in some cases. 10 times.
That's crazy.
The taste alone should have kept it popular. It's like nature decided to create the perfect salad edition. Crunchy, flavorful, and packed with nutrients that would make a multivitamin
So
jealous.
why did they? I mean, I'm
Speaking-
sure it has something to do with money, right? It always does. It has something like they couldn't monetize it, so they had to get rid of it. But like, how did they? Like, what like lies did they spread to make it? Other than that it's a weed, maybe?
Of forgotten treasures, wait until you hear about salsify.
Oh,
the
he's not even gonna
mysterious
tell
root
us.
that
Damn.
tastes exactly like something from the ocean.
I just want him to tell us. I want to know like how they actually went about getting people to forget about it and to like not use it, and what lies did they spread? What did they tell people?
Ever heard of a vegetable that tastes like seafood but grows in dirt? Well, your great-great-grandmother probably knew all about salsify. This peculiar root vegetable was once as common on dinner tables as potatoes are today. But here's the
Interesting.
kicker.
It
Big
doesn't look great.
Agriculture wanted nothing to do with it. Why?
Big
Because
agriculture.
salsify takes its sweet time growing. We're talking 8 to 9 months
Oh.
from seed to harvest.
That's a
Compare
long time.
that to the quick turnaround crops that fill supermarket shelves, and you can see why
Okay.
corporate farms gave it the boot. They
Okay.
needed vegetables that grew
That gave us
fast
an
and
answer.
shipped faster. What they threw away was nutritional gold. Salsify packs more fiber than most vegetables you'll find today. It's loaded with prebiotics that feed the good bacteria in your gut. Something
Interesting.
our ancestors got naturally, but we now buy in expensive supplements. The taste? Imagine if an oyster and a parsnip had a baby. Sounds weird, but it's absolutely
Okay.
delicious.
I don't know. I mean, like, I've only had oysters that have been like dressed to the nines, you know? Like, I don't. And like, it's. Interesting.
Medieval cooks knew this secret. They'd roast it, fry it, or toss it into stews. The flavor was so unique that wealthy families considered it a delicacy.
So, where did you get
Then
these
there's the
to cook 'em?
potassium content.
If they're illegal.
This humble root delivers heart-healthy benefits that put many modern vegetables to shame. Your blood pressure would thank you, but good luck
Oh,
finding
not
salsify at your local
America.
grocery store. The real irony? While we're engineering tomatoes to last weeks on shelves, we abandoned a vegetable that naturally supported digestive health for centuries. Makes you wonder what other treasures got buried in agriculture's rush for
Probably a
efficiency.
lot.
But salsify isn't the only casualty of this vegetable revolution.
Dang.
Medieval cooks knew something we've completely forgotten about: lovage. This towering herb didn't just season
Lovage?
their stews, it practically
That was a weird read on that. That was a weird edit. It went straight into it.
ran their entire medicine cabinet. Picture celery's overachieving cousin who went to medical school.
Does it taste better
That's
than
lovage
celery?
for you. While modern celery tastes like crunchy water with commitment issues, lovage packs a flavor punch that could wake up
See,
a
that's what I wanted to know.
hibernating bear.
Dang.
One
Okay.
leaf does the work of 10 celery stalks. But here's where things get interesting. Big agriculture didn't just ignore lovage, they actively discouraged it. Why? Well, when you can grow something that replaces multiple seasonings and medicines, suddenly you don't need their expensive seed packets and chemical fertilizer.
Okay, see, that's what I was asking about earlier. It's like the reasons that some of these things disappeared. I just want to check something really quick. All right, don't worry about it.
The
But I'm glad that we're getting a little bit of insight into the money aspect of it, because it does make sense. That's what I was thinking it had to do. I did look at some of the comments on here, and at least one of them was like, it's also big pharma, because big agriculture and big pharma go hand in hand a lot of the time, which I think is an interesting factoid. And it feels accurate.
anti-inflammatory compounds in lovage make ibuprofen look like a participation trophy. Medieval healers used it for everything from kidney stones
Cool.
to joint pain. Modern studies confirm what those old-timers knew. Lovage contains quercetin
Lovage.
and other compounds that actually reduce inflammation
Can we find
at
it in the
cellular
wild still?
level.
I kind of want some
Then
of this
there's
stuff.
the practical magic. Every single part of this plant works over time. Leaves for seasoning, stems for cooking, roots for medicine, and seeds for digestive tea. It's like
Cool.
getting a Swiss Army knife when everyone else sells you single blade razors. Your grandmother probably grew this without even knowing its proper name. She'd call
I
it
really doubt
that
it.
big herb that makes everything taste better. Smart woman.
He just talks about my grandmother a lot. I'm like, I don't think. I don't know. I mean, my grandmother, I think, grew up on a farm, but and then the other one, I have no idea what she did. I know that she did later in life. I do not know anything about her childhood. Think my grandma that I know about grew up on a farm, though.
Real kicker? Lovage grows like it's trying to prove something. Plant it once, and it'll feed your
Like
family
mint?
for decades.
Nice.
No wonder the seed companies aren't thrilled about promoting it. But wait until you hear about our next banned vegetable. It's so naturally sweet that
Where
royalty
is it?
hoarded it like gold. Medieval royalty knew what they were doing when they made skirret their go-to dessert.
Oh,
This
spirit.
sweet root vegetable
Interesting.
was basically nature's candy bar, except it actually made you healthier instead of
Huh.
sending you to the dentist.
That's cool. I mean, I have heard of like sweet roots and stuff before, which is interesting that I'm actually learning what some of them look like and are. I wish that this video had a little bit more information about like regions, like where to be, like if some of this stuff is still available, like it's not extinct, right? It's just not sold. So like if I could, I don't know, like learning where these things are at would be interesting to me.
But here's where things get interesting. While kings were munching on skirret at fancy banquets, modern agriculture decided this royal treat wasn't worth their time. Why? Because sugar beets and cane could be mass-produced faster than you could say profit margin.
Yeah, sounds
Well,
about right again.
joke's on them. Skirret packs more inulin than a health food store supplement. Aisle.
I don't know
This
what
stuff
inulin
is
is.
pure gold for your digestive system. Makes sense, right? Your gut bacteria throw a party every time inulin shows up. And for folks dealing with diabetes, skirret's natural sweetness doesn't spike blood sugar like those processed alternatives
What's with
that
the
replaced
sludge?
it. Then there's the texture
What was the
gain.
sludge?
Ever tried adding something crunchy to your soup that actually belongs there?
Yes.
Skirret delivers that perfect bite.
I'm
Not
trying to.
much.
I'm trying to determine if this is like an actual person speaking. Like that's what I was trying to do earlier. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, so every so often a line like that will be read that actually belongs there, and I'm like, and I can't decide if it's like a weird edit, like a weird read, or if it's an auto voice. So sorry if this is a real person talking and like some of the lines are just a little bit like weirdly edited together, like weird two takes were put together in a weird way. Um but that's what I was trying to find earlier to see if like AI was involved with the making of the video, but I didn't see anything that suggested that in the description, so I don't know. And I was looking at some of the comments to see if they had mentioned it. So I'm not sure, but that's what I was looking at before. That's what I'm still trying to kind of determine. It just
soup that actually belongs there.
see like that. That actually belongs there. It feels like it doesn't quite match in a natural sort of flow, but
Skirret delivers that perfect bite. Not mushy like overcooked carrots, not tough like undercooked potatoes. It's the Goldilocks of root vegetables. And the weird part is, while GMO crops struggle in changing weather patterns, Skirret thrives in cooler climates. This thing laughs at frost like a Canadian in shorts during winter.
like this, because the script feels normal. It's just every so often there's just a line read, and I think maybe it's just a line read, or like an odd edit, like because people make weird voices all the time, you know, like just look no further than Benedict Cumberbatch trying to say penguins 1,000 times, you know. So I don't know, it's not a huge deal. I was just wondering.
The real kicker? Most people have never even heard of it. Walk into any grocery store and ask for Skirret, you'll get the same blank stare you'd get asking for a unicorn. But adventurous cooks who discover this forgotten gem quickly realize they've stumbled on.
Seriously looks almost. It looks like a very specific jewel. Like, I'm trying. Great value every day. I don't know. It looks like one. It doesn't look like all of them, but it looks like one specific one.
But adventurous cooks who discover this forgotten gem quickly realize they've stumbled onto something special.
Like
Speaking of forgotten treasures that pack a nutritional punch, Good King Henry sounds like royalty, but this poor man's asparagus was actually the working-class hero of medieval gardens. And boy, did big agriculture want this one gone fast. Here's the thing about Good King Henry. It made modern crops look like nutritional weaklings. We're talking about a plant loaded with iron, vitamin C, and more nutrients than your typical supermarket spinach could dream of. But that wasn't the problem for industrial farming. The real issue? This green giant was slower than your uncle trying to figure out his smartphone.
Always slow. Huh?
While GMO crops could be rushed to market, Good King Henry took its sweet time developing those nutrient-dense leaves. Patience and profit margins don't exactly shake hands, if you know what I mean.
Nope,
then there's the versatility factor that really spooked the agriculture industry. You could toss these leaves raw into salads or cook them like spinach. The young shoots, they taste remarkably similar to asparagus. One plant, multiple uses.
Gross.
Sounds great for families, terrible for companies selling specialized vegetables.
Not an
asparagus
fan.
But here's where it gets interesting. Good King Henry is a perennial, meaning it comes back year after year without replanting. No seeds to buy annually, no dependency on agricultural suppliers. That's like having a vegetable garden that runs on autopilot. Medieval folks also used it medicinally for treating wounds, thanks to its anti-inflammatory compounds. Modern research is finally catching up to what they knew centuries ago. Speaking of plants that made agriculture executives nervous,
you know,
wait until you hear.
It's funny when people are like, oh, they knew this centuries ago. It's like, well, they knew a lot of things centuries ago. They knew that tying a chicken to your foot would cure your warts. You know, like, they utilized these things because they noticed that it tasted good. Or it's like they didn't know about the nutritional value of these things.
About the groundnut, a protein powerhouse that could have changed everything.
Looks like a peanut.
Here's something that'll make your grandmother roll her eyes. We've been ignoring one of
my grandmother.
Complete foods while obsessing over fancy supplements. Groundnut used to be the MVP of Native American agriculture. And honestly, it makes our modern potatoes look like nutritional lightweights. This climbing vine...
Does it make our potatoes look like lightweights? Everything... I'm a little iffy, and I've, like, every so often there's, like, a really fun line in this script, and then every so often I'm like...
Produce tubers that were basically nature's multivitamin. We're talking about
Get
3
some
times more protein than
variety in
potatoes
there.
and enough iron to make Popeye jealous. But here's where it gets interesting. Ground nut wasn't just nutritious, it was practically indestructible. While modern crops throw tantrums over soil conditions, ground nut thrived in places where other plants would wave the white flag. Poor soil? No problem. Drought conditions? Bring it on. This plant was like that tough
This is definitely not a voice actor. Like, I can't.
neighbor who never complains about anything. Then industrial farming showed up with its bigger is better mentality. Groundnuts crime. It took patience. You couldn't just plant endless rows.
That seems to be the theme in this. If it takes longer than like 2 months or whatever, then it's like out of here. I am not. I'm trying to figure this out. I can't. I cannot figure it out at all. Okay, I did a little bit more research into it. I looked it up. It says some tracks are auto-dubbed. And this is definitely one of the tracks that has been auto-dubbed. Just because there is enough emotion in it that I'm like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like the TikTok AI voices. It doesn't sound even like the robots that like Google Assistant or Postmates or whatever uses. There are definitely moments of real emotion here. So I was like, that's why I kept going back and forth about like, is this a person or not? I don't think the original, like this one in English, I think was auto-dubbed. It's just been kind of like grating on me a little bit. But now I figured it out. I've solved it. And I can continue now to enjoy the video in peace.
Harvest with massive machines, it required actual knowledge. Something that didn't fit the factory farming playbook. Makes sense, right? Why bother with a nutrient-dense,
everything just
sustainable
takes too
crop
long.
when you can grow uniform potatoes that ship well and last forever in storage? The
And
climbing
they do.
habit that
And then
made
they
ground
grow.
nuts so resilient became its
the dark.
downfall. Monoculture operations wanted crops that stayed put, not ones that reached for the sky and actually improved soil health while growing. But
That's
here's
cool.
what really gets me fired up.
Again,
We
it gets you
ditched this
fired up.
powerhouse for convenience while our ancestors knew exactly what they were doing. Speaking of plants our ancestors got right, wait until you hear about the medieval leaf that made winter meals sing. Your grandmother probably threw this weed into her salads without thinking twice about it.
I don't think she did. It's starting to like, oh my God. You know what gets me fired up? Saying the same 4 sentences over and over again.
Sorrel was everywhere in medieval
Oh,
gardens.
sorrel. I have heard
and
of
for good
sorrel.
reason, too. This tangy little green packs more vitamin A than most vegetables sitting in your grocery cart
It's
right
not
now.
why, but okay.
We're talking about levels that make spinach look like it's slacking off. But here's where it gets interesting. Sorrel tastes like someone crossed lettuce with a lemon wedge. Medieval cooks weren't just tossing it around for kicks. They knew something we've forgotten. This stuff could survive winters that would make a polar bear shiver. While other vegetables gave up and died, sorrel kept growing like that one neighbor who insists on mowing his lawn in December. Then there's the preservation angle that'll blow your mind. The natural oxalates in sorrel work like tiny food guardians, keeping things fresh longer than your average green. Think of it as nature's refrigerator before refrigerators existed. But why did we ditch this
Okay, my
powerhouse?
mind is not blown.
Simple. Big agriculture wanted vegetables that could sit in trucks for weeks without wilting. Sorrel's crime? It was too fresh, too flavorful, and too good at what it did naturally. The weird part is how we replaced something this nutritious with bland, storage-friendly alternatives that need chemical cocktails just to grow properly. Meanwhile, sorrel laughs at pesticides because it's naturally tough.
Pesticides.
Well, there's another medieval vegetable that makes sorrel look tame by comparison. This next one was so prized that ancient Romans built their entire cardiovascular health around it. Meet cardoon, the artichoke's forgotten big brother that
Cardoon,
medieval
it's
folks
pretty.
couldn't get enough of. While artichokes get all the
He
spotlight.
keeps
at
like also like medieval. Is it medieval people or Romans? Like, are we talking like Roman Empire, height of the Roman Empire? Or are we talking about the height of the medieval empire? Because those were not the same time period. Like, maybe I'm thinking about a different. Maybe we're talking about different moments in the Roman Empire. I don't know. I feel like those were like the Romans. I don't think about them as being. I'm thinking about like Caesar. I don't think about him in the 1300s.
fancy restaurants Cardoon was doing the heavy lifting in European gardens centuries before GMOs were even a twinkle in a scientist's eye. This towering plant looks like artichoke on steroids. We're talking stalks that can reach 6 feet
Why do
tall,
I feel like I've seen
taller
that?
than your average teenager, and probably more useful too. But here's where it gets interesting. Cardoon doesn't mess around when it comes to your heart health. Studies show Cardoon extract can slash bad cholesterol levels by up to 30%.
Interesting.
That's better than most prescription drugs, and it won't cost you your firstborn child in pharmacy bills. The active
Interesting.
compounds in Cardoon work like tiny janitors, scrubbing your arteries clean while you sleep.
See, I feel like there are a lot of vegetables and stuff like that, and he's talking about it like our ancestors knew what they were doing, which they didn't. This is what was available to them, and so they figured out ways to use it. They weren't thinking about the microorganisms in our biology. They weren't thinking about that. But it does make a certain amount of sense that like people had like certain aspects of that life was maybe a little healthier, and like they weren't dying of heart attacks as often, and their cholesterol wasn't as high because they weren't eating as many fatty foods. They were eating things naturally that targeted those problems, those problem areas, which is interesting because I know that like rich people were dying of gout and heart attacks and stuff because they weren't eating as much healthy stuff, I guess. But that is interesting. That part of this is very interesting to me, that they were just eating what was there, and what was there was actually really healthy. And then as we've started to leave and go away from eating more natural things and stopped learning how to like figure out what plants are good or bad to eat, we've entered into an era where we eat a lot of things that are bad for us or just stuff full of chemicals. And eating organic is not necessarily better. Unless you know exactly where these things are coming from. But
there's the fiber content. 1 cup delivers nearly half your daily fiber needs, which means your
Wow.
digestive system runs smoother than a well-oiled lawnmower. Your blood
Speaking
sugar
with
stays steady,
lawnmower,
too,
okay.
unlike the roller coaster ride you get from processed foods. But why did big agriculture give Cardoon the boot? Simple economics, my friend. This plant takes patience. Something modern farming hates more than a vegetarian and a
Everything with
barbecue convention.
patience.
Cardoon needs careful blanching, specific growing conditions, and skilled harvesting.
Okay.
Mass production prefers vegetables that grow fast, ship easy, and look identical. The Mediterranean diet crowd still swears by Cardoon for good reason.
Okay.
While we're stuck with bland, nutrient-stripped vegetables designed for shelf life, Cardoon delivers real nutrition that actually does something. Speaking of forgotten nutritional powerhouses, wait until you hear about Rampion. Ever heard of a
I've heard of
vegetable so
Rampion.
charming it landed in fairy tales?
Not the way he said it,
Well,
but
Ra-
oh yeah, that's why I've heard of it.
Rampion, the delicate green that once ruled medieval salad bowls before big agriculture decided we didn't need it anymore. Back in the day, people went absolutely crazy for Rampion's slightly sweet leaves. Think of the mildest radish you've ever tasted, then make it even gentler.
I think Rampion. I think it's a line in frickin' in like Into the Woods or something. I think the witch talks about it.
That's Rampion for you. Medieval folks couldn't get enough of this stuff, and honestly, who could blame them? But here's where things get interesting. While we're all munching on bland, watery lettuce that tastes like disappointment, Rampion was packing some serious nutritional punch. This little green powerhouse contains more magnesium than most vegetables
Take
you'll
a drink
find
every
in
time he
today's
calls it a
supermarket.
powerhouse.
And magnesium?
Or that it makes other plants seem like they're slacking. Or if he mentions your grandmother, or a lawnmower, apparently.
That's your bone's best friend. Now, why did this superstar disappear?
Patience.
Simple economics, my friend.
Simple
Lettuce grows
economics, my
fast,
friend.
ships well, and looks uniform on store shelves. Rampion takes its sweet time
It's
and
all.
doesn't
It's
photograph
always
as
exactly
nicely,
the
for
same.
instance.
Every single one of these is exactly the same. Every single one. Why does this not? Why we don't have it? Simple economics, my friend. I feel like this would have been better as a series of shorts or something, because just having it all in one video is it's making me want. It's interesting individually, but I don't like the scripting and I don't like the read. I don't like the auto dubbing.
Instagram.
Sorry,
So guess which one
Pterodactylus.
won the popularity contest? The funny thing is, Rampion, practically grows itself. It's tougher than a $2 steak when it comes to pests and diseases.
See, and then every so often there's a funny joke, but
Crops need constant babying and chemical treatments. Rampion just shrugs off problems like they're nothing. You might recognize this plant from Rapunzel.
yes.
Yes, that fairy tale. The whole story starts because someone desperately wanted rampion from a witch's garden. Makes sense, right? But here's what really gets me fired up about the next vegetable on our list.
Okay, get
The
fired up,
Romans
dude.
didn't mess around when it came to food. While they were busy conquering the world, they also conquered
talking
dinner
about Romans
plates
again.
with something called Alexanders. Think of it as celery's overachieving older brother who went to medical school. This remarkable plant could feed you from top to bottom, literally. Roots, stems, leaves.
Oh, I was
even
thinking head to oh, okay. I was thinking my top to I was like head to toe. What? I was like, how? What's it gonna do to my head that it's also gonna do to my toes? Like that is what I thought there. Ugh.
seeds were edible. Makes sense, right? Why waste any part when you're building an empire and need every nutritional advantage
Is he gonna call
you
the
can get?
Romans medieval again?
But here's where it gets interesting. Alexander's packed a secret weapon called astragalline. Medieval folks didn't know the fancy name, but they knew this stuff worked magic on their medicine shelves. Stomach troubles, Alexander's. Joint
Fun.
pain,
Gotta love it.
more Alexander's.
All the Alexanders. Alexanders for everyone. Okay, and I just went to like double check what was going on there because he keeps equating, I say he, it keeps equating the Romans did this and in medieval times, and it's like he keeps equating them with the exact same time. The medieval times kind of started like as the Roman Empire collapsed, which is kind of what I thought. I was like, it happened afterwards, is when people were really in there. So it's like the fact that he keeps like putting them in the same sentence, it's not, they're not the same.
It was like
Sorry.
having a pharmacy growing in your backyard. The taste? Imagine celery decided to get spicy and develop some personality.
That sounds fun,
That
actually.
peppery kick made Roman soldiers feel invincible. Or maybe that was just the conquest talking. Then modern agriculture showed up like that friend who ruins every good party. Why grow something complex and flavorful when you can mass produce bland, predictable crops? Alexander's required actual knowledge to harvest properly.
Okay, well
Each
that would
part
be
needed different timing, different techniques.
interesting.
Well,
That
was too
explains
much
that.
work
That
for
makes a lot of
industrial
sense.
farming. They wanted vegetables that behaved like factory workers, uniform, predictable, and easy to manage. Alexander's was more like an artist, temperamental but brilliant. Ancient murals
That
still
would be
show
annoying,
extensive
though.
cultivation of this powerhouse plant. Those civilizations understood something we've forgotten about real nutrition versus artificial
Okay.
enhancement.
I think that was the first time that he separated them by saying those civilizations, because he keeps just putting it keeps putting them in the same sort of block, and it keeps making me confused and making me pull out of it this a little bit.
But speaking of plants that literally lift your spirits, there's one medieval favorite that was celebrated for inducing actual euphoria. Here's your
Cool.
grandmother's secret weapon against stress, and big agriculture
Also, it's like my grandma wasn't from the medieval period, dude.
pretends it doesn't exist. Borage was once called the herb of gladness because medieval folks swore it could lift anyone's
That's
spirits
kinda fun,
faster than
though.
a surprise inheritance check. But here's where it gets interesting. This blue-flowered beauty contains more gamma-linolenic acid than those fancy engineered crops could ever dream of producing.
Yeah, man.
We're talking about the same stuff they put in expensive supplements, except Barrage delivers it naturally. Your
It makes you
wallet
happy?
stays happy too. The flowers?
Dopamine?
Completely edible.
Ooh.
Toss them on salads and watch dinner guests wonder if you've hired a 5-star chef. They taste like cucumber with a hint of honey, and
Interesting.
they're shaped
Ooh.
like perfect little stars. Makes you wonder why we settled for
Where
boring lettuce
can I
when our
get them?
ancestors had this colorful masterpiece. Then there's the controversy. Some places restrict Barrage because of its alkaloids. Sounds scary, right? Well, coffee has alkaloids too, and nobody's banning your morning cup. The difference is Barrage actually helps your adrenal glands instead of overworking them. Medieval herbalists
helps
used
them
it
instead of
for
hurts them.
everything from calming nerves to treating what they called melancholy. Today's research backs up their wisdom.
Why is he on a segue?
Those gamma-linolenic acids support healthy inflammation response better than most modern alternatives. And the bees, they go absolutely crazy for Barrage flowers. Plant some, and you'll have the happiest pollinators
Where
in the
can
neighborhood
I do
buzzing
that?
around like they
Like,
found
does it
buried
work
treasure.
In the Midwest,
But Barrage
like,
isn't the only banned plant that supports your body's natural processes. Wait
Also,
until
are these actually banned, or is it just they don't harvest them and sell them in grocery stores?
you discover the next one that's been hiding in plain sight, disguised as something completely different. Your
Oh,
grandmother probably called it a weed and yanked it out of her garden without a second thought.
but it's so
But
pretty.
mallow, this unassuming
I've heard of
plant, was
mallow,
once the
too.
star of medieval kitchens and medicine cabinets alike. Here's the
It's
kicker.
beautiful. Why would you get rid of
Mallow is
that?
literally where marshmallows got their name. The original marshmallows were made from the sap of mallow roots, not the sugar-packed fluff we roast over
Okay.
campfires today. Talk about a glow down that would make any influencer weep. Medieval cooks knew something we've forgotten. They tossed mallow leaves into stews and soups, creating dishes that didn't just fill bellies but actually healed them. The leaves contained something called mucilage, basically
Mucilage.
nature's own throat coat. Got a scratchy throat? Mallow beats those expensive lozenges hands down. But here's where big agriculture
pretty
got
cool.
nervous. Mallow spreads like gossip in a small
It's so
town.
pretty.
It's what botanists politely call
Mallow.
invasive, which really means it grows so well that it makes other crops look lazy. Can't have that when you're trying to sell expensive seeds every season, right? The roots were the real treasure, though. Medieval healers used them to make poultices that could soothe everything from burns to stomach ulcers.
That's pretty
The
cool.
mucilage creates a protective coating on your stomach lining like bubble wrap for your insides. Today's genetically modified vegetables promise enhanced nutrition, but they're missing something crucial. They lack the resilience that kept our ancestors alive during famines. Mallow kept growing when everything else failed. Speaking of
Interesting.
resilience, there's another banned vegetable that thrived in the harshest coastal conditions. Sea kale might sound like something you'd find washed up on a beach after a storm, but medieval coastal communities treated this plant like underwater treasure. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Picture cabbage's sophisticated cousin who spent way too much time at the spa. That's
At
sea
the
kale for you.
spa.
This maritime marvel
Why the
thrived
spa?
along rocky coastlines, giving farmers near the ocean a reliable crop that laughed at salty soil.
And that sounds like insulting. They're sophisticated who spent way too much time at the spa.
And harsh winds. While everyone else inland was babying their vegetables, coastal folks just let sea kale do its thing. But
And I'm still
here's
trying
what
to
gets
figure out where the
interesting.
spa
sea
comes
kale
in.
packs more vitamin C than your morning orange juice and enough iodine to keep your thyroid happier than a retiree in Florida. Medieval sailors knew this stuff could prevent scurvy better than any fancy supplement big agriculture pushes today. The
Limes.
crazy part? Sea kale actually improves the land it grows on.
That's always
Unlike
cool when
modern
plants do
crops that suck nutrients out faster than teenagers drain your bank account, this plant prevents soil erosion.
Shade at the
It literally
teenagers
holds
again.
the coastline together while feeding people. Try getting that from your GMO broccoli.
It's your own fucking fault you have a teenager. Like, they didn't choose that. They didn't choose to be dependent on you. You chose to have a baby, and that baby inevitably is going to turn into a teenager. And yeah, they're going to drain your bank account because guess what? You brought them into this world. You got to keep them in it. Got to send them to school. Oh my God. You know what gets me fired up? Jesus Christ. He's throwing shade at teenagers. He's like being weird about grandma.
Then there's the taste factor. Raw, it's got this crisp, slightly salty bite that makes salads pop. Cooked, it transforms into something resembling the best parts of asparagus and spinach having a delicious baby. No wonder fancy restaurants started sneaking it back onto menus. Well, the ones that could find it anyway. See, sea kale's biggest crime was
fine.
being too niche for mass production. You can't just plant this anywhere and expect miracles. But what happens when you need something even more specialized to survive harsh conditions? Ever seen
Isn't
a
that just
vegetable that looks like
asparagus?
it belongs in a fancy restaurant but grows like a weed in your backyard?
No.
Meet the asparagus pea,
Okay,
the
it is
overachiever
asparagus
that got
looking.
kicked
That's
out
why-
of modern
that's why it
farming
looks
for
like it.
being too interesting. This little beauty produces pods that taste remarkably like asparagus, but here's the kicker, it's actually
kicker?
a legume.
It's a legume.
Think of it as
Oh, that is
nature's
cool.
practical joke on botanists everywhere. While regular asparagus takes 3 years to establish and demands perfect soil conditions like a spoiled celebrity, asparagus peas grow faster than your neighbor's gossip spreads.
So this is the one thing that, because it grows fast, it's a problem?
The pods are downright gorgeous, too. Bright red flowers bloom into these winged, almost ornamental-looking pods
pretty.
that would make your Instagram followers think you've gone full fancy farmer. But big agriculture?
Sure.
They wanted nothing to do with something this photogenic. Why the cold shoulder? Well, asparagus peas don't fit into neat little shipping boxes. They're delicate, irregular, and require individual attention. Basically,
Okay,
the
so
opposite of what
finicky.
industrial farming loves. Plus, they peak at exactly the right moment and won't wait around for your convenience.
Okay.
Here's what really gets me fired up about this plant.
Oh my God.
It actually improves soil quality while it grows. Unlike many GMO crops that drain nutrients faster than teenagers empty a refrigerator,
Oh my God!
peas fix nitrogen naturally. They're basically doing the soil a favor while producing food. The folate content rivals
Oh my God, he's making. Oh, again, every so often there's a funny line in the script, but like, I really feel like this would have been better as shorts. Having this all be in one video is very frustrating. Just keeps throwing shade at random teenagers. Keeps saying weird stuff about grandma. Doesn't know the difference between like the height of the Roman Empire and when medieval peasants were doing their thing. Everything gets him fired up.
expensive supplements.
Simple
and the
economics,
fiber
my
keeps your
friend.
digestive system happier than a retiree with unlimited buffet access. Makes sense why medieval gardeners
And the shots that
treasured these
retire,
little
like,
gems, right?
retire makes them happier than a retiree in Florida. Makes them happier than a retiree at a buffet. Like, come up with some other similes. Like, what the fuck?
But there's one final vegetable that might surprise you even more. Most people rip chickweed out of their gardens like it's public enemy number one. But here's the kicker. Our medieval ancestors treated this weed like green gold. They knew something we've completely forgotten. Chickweed grows faster than gossip at a church potluck. Within just weeks of planting, you can harvest tender leaves that pack more vitamin C than your average orange. Makes sense why sailors used to gobble this stuff up to prevent scurvy, right? Well, big agriculture had other plans. They convinced everyone that chickweed was nothing but a troublesome pest. Meanwhile, they pushed their uniform crops that look pretty on store shelves but deliver about as much nutrition as cardboard. The weird part is, chickweed thrives everywhere. Poor soil? No problem. Drought conditions? It
Cool.
laughs in the face of dry weather. This little powerhouse contains saponins, natural compounds that act like nature's anti-inflammatory medicine. Medieval folks made poultices from it to treat wounds and skin problems. But why did we abandon such a reliable food source?
Economics, my friend.
Simple economics. You can't patent a weed that grows wild in every backyard. There's no money in telling people they can harvest free salad greens from their lawn. I've personally tried chickweed in salads, and it tastes
No, you
like
haven't,
a
you're a
cross between
robot.
spinach and corn silk. Mild, slightly sweet, and surprisingly satisfying. The texture's tender enough that even my picky Uncle Larry would probably eat it without complaining.
Picky Uncle Larry
Then
doesn't exist.
There's the sustainability factor. While GMO crops require fertilizers, pesticides, and constant babying, chickweed just grows. It's nature's way of saying, I've got this covered. Sometimes the best solutions are literally growing under our feet.
Wow. Wow, what a sudden ending to that video. Oh my god. Okay, look, some of the information in that was interesting, but I really did not care for the delivery. Like, and again, you might have seen me taking a few notes, because like I like to know that kind of stuff about medieval plants and what they were used for in those moments. I think that stuff is really, really cool. And it's helpful for me when I like want to go and I want to write something, or you know, I think that stuff's interesting. Man, I did not like the scripting of that. There's a couple of lines that made me laugh, but just look, if I keep talking about it, then I'm gonna just start falling into the same traps I was screaming at the Medieval Times Discovered channel for doing. So I'm gonna stop. I mean, I did learn some things, so I appreciate that. Thanks for the suggestion. Keep them coming. I'll watch them, even if sometimes I might lose my mind a little bit. Well, I don't know, just dive into some economics, my friend, and get fired up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.